Hello, today what we're going to do is a basic introduction to a new language called Python. From now on, HSC will produce two separate categories of videos, Arduino series and Python series. I hope you don't feel too reluctant about being introduced to a new language because at the end of the series, you have enough knowledge to apply what you learned in your personal projects in various fields. And most importantly, Python is very useful and easy to learn for beginners. First, what is Python? Python, according to Python.org, is an interpreted object-oriented high-level programming with dynamic semantics and high readability. You might be curious what these words mean, so I'll go over each of them right now. First thing we certainly know is that Python is a computer language, just like C, C++, Arduino, Java, and all the other existing ways to implement algorithms and communicate with programs. Python is just a programming language. Also, the website said that Python is an interpreted language, right? In interpreted languages like Python, interpreters run through a programming, line by line, to execute commands, giving developers so much flexibility. Due to that, it's possible to build computer software, data models, study mathematics, create machine learning algorithms, and web services without any limitations coming from the language itself. Meanwhile, in compiled languages like C, C++, codes are all converted directly into machine, making them more suitable for building interactions with hardware like how we do with Arduino. Third, Python is object-oriented. In object-oriented programming, or so-called OOP, a software programming is structured into simple, reusable pieces of code blueprints to create a collection of data with their own properties of behavior. We'll have a lesson dedicated to this topic of dealing with classes, objects, and methods. For now, we just know that this allows for a better software programming and data processing. Fourth, Python is a high-level language designed to simplify computer programming. When we code, several steps are removed from the actual complex code that is run on a computer processor. Python doesn't require you to know anything about hardware and memory allocations, so Python can be viewed as an extremely high-level language. Fifth, Python uses dynamic semantics, meaning that variables can point to objects of any type. This simply means that you can put a completely different object into a place where an object once existed, which makes Python so quick to write and easy to read. Sixth, Python has high readability. Since Python requires less structures and fewer lines of codes, Python is much easier to learn for beginners. Lastly, Python has useful tools like free libraries, various editors, and a huge community fanbase. Some other languages might say, don't we all have so-called useful tools? Sure, but Python is one of the most supported languages nowadays, and that means it has a long list of totally free libraries available for all Python users. TensorFlow, PyTorch for deep learning, tkinter for GUI development, Jupyter for some analysis purposes. All these libraries are great third-party libraries that you can import, not to mention a huge community of Python users who release creative open-source libraries and extensions on GitHub. You see why Python must be popular, right? So Python is perfect. No. Apparently, Python is easy to learn, flexible, well-supported, and very useful in software development, data science, and mathematics. But there are several downsides. First, Python is not for mobile development. If you want to create an app on your phone, Python is obviously not the best option. Second, Python is not fast compared to compiled languages. Python is only fast in terms of processing data, not in terms of executing commands. Third, runtime errors are really annoying. It's a type of error you get when you accidentally make your computer loop infinitely and get to start hitting yourself, but there are some good debugging tools in many code editors, and you'll get used to it. Since we learned how cool Python is, let's install it from python.org. First, go to python.org. Then, click Downloads. Click Download Python 3.9.1 only if you have Windows. For other OS, use the link buttons below that button and choose the latest version available. Then you can run the file you downloaded. and follow the steps provided by the installer. And please make sure all these checkboxes are marked when you install it. Last thing I want to mention is code editors in IDE. The default Python app is good enough to run Python, but its code editors is extremely painful to read. Although this step is totally optional, I highly recommend downloading a third-party code editor or IDE because I don't want you to suffer from those pains. I'll give you some choices that you can never go wrong with, and the links are provided in the description. VS Code has many useful custom extensions, different languages, less memory required, clear interface, and most importantly, is completely free. PyCharm is a powerful tool for advanced Python developers. Spider has many different libraries and plugins related to data science that come with it. Since there are many guidelines available online about how to download these applications, I won't go over any of them specifically, but feel free to email me if you have any question. Again, please email me if you have any question about what we learned today or anything related to Python. You can find me at channinglee77@gmail.com. Next Python lecture is going to be about actual programming, so have your programs already downloaded. Thank you for listening.